is a video series about people who are fearlessly fighting the language barriers for their companies and customers. Many people have gone before them over the millennia of human civilization. The stories are sometimes heroic, but oftentimes end in lost fortunes. This time though, it's different. The technology is ready. Nobody needs to suffer from the foreign language barrier any longer. The world is becoming massively multilingual. Let's talk with the gurus who make this happen.
So welcome to TAUS Talks. Today we sit down with Sarika, Gulyani and Sandeep Nulkar from FICCI ILIA. It's a non-profit government organization that works towards the development of local language content for the Indic internet. So welcome, Sarika and Sandeep. Could I please ask you to introduce yourself briefly? What's your role within the organization? And maybe, Sarika, we can start with you.
Thank you, and hello to all the viewers. And of course, Mr. Nulkar and Anne and Shikha over here. In my role, I'm a director and a head of ICT and Digital Economy in FICCI ILIA division of Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, which is one of the apex chambers body of India, almost 93 years old body. So I had that division, and in my role, apart from the ICT, we work in the areas of IT, telecom, and I talk about emerging technologies, we talk about connectivity, governance, we talk about the digital economy thing which is coming over. So it's been cloud or anything, all those areas, it's very deep into all those things. So we work in that areas, along with, of course, the reason I'm here, which is about the development of the Indic language and the language technology sector of India with the help of all stakeholders. And as in my role, we work with various stakeholders. As FICCI is the industry's voice for the policy change, so we form a bridge between the government and the various stakeholders in the industry, and we work on the various issues and the opportunities which are existing in the sector, so that we can work for the growth of the sector with the support of all our members and, of course, the different stakeholders which we partner with. And as FICCI, of course, we have a presence across states and globally. So our work, of course, transcends the boundaries, and we work within the country and across the nation on various parameters. So while I can go deep into the details of this work because it's a 93-year-old body, but I'll restrict my comments here and happy to take any further questions from you.
Great, thank you. And Sandeep?
Yeah, so I've been part of the language industry in India pretty much ever since it has existed, which was 1991. Then I started my own company, translation company, in 1993. And so it's almost 28 years now that I've been part of the industry. I think my role with FICCI ILIA as a senior member is to bring in the industry side, to help out as much as I can with everything that is language specific, language technology specific, and kind of support the amazing work that's happening with FICCI ILIA and the government.
Sure, great, thank you. So, Sarika, you were already talking a little bit about your role and kind of maybe also a little bit about the vision already. So can you tell us what were the motivations for FICCI to establish the Indian Language Internet Alliance division?
Definitely, Anne. So as I mentioned, we have been working in the areas of various sectors of the economy. And while during the discussions, there was a need which we realized it from the members and the industry that the language industry and Indic languages needs to be promoted highly. In fact, the numbers also speaks very highly about it. So if we talk about 9 out of the 10 in coming years would be the internet users would be the Indic users. So I'll say the 75% would be the Indic users by 2025, the internet users out of the numbers we are targeting. And India has a population of 1.35 billion. So you can see that the numbers we are talking about is highly big. And when you have to reach to them and you have to get the right messages being delivered to them or get them as part of the digital revolution, we need to work in hand with our industry as a neutral body, which as FICCI we stand for, along with the government to take this motive forward. And that was one of the reasons we thought that, yes, as a part of our initiatives, we should take it forward and work on this particular area with our members. So that was one of the key things. Yeah, there are many others, which includes that the industry is so widespread and there is so much to it, and it is working in silos. So those are the things which were other things which got motivated. But this was in consultation with our industry members, and definitely there was a need from the government side. So we had a discussions with the government. So then FICCI, along with the stakeholder groups, like with our ecosystem partners, launched FICCI ILIA, which is Indian Language Internet Alliance. And this was launched in one of the premier flagship initiatives of FICCI, which is India Internet Conference with the Ministry of Electronics and IT of India. So we launched it in that event, and it was launched by then the Honorable Minister of State for Electronics and IT. So the key was that we work together for the growth and development of the sector, taking care of all challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And can you tell us maybe a bit more about some of the initiatives that you've taken since it started?
Yeah, so we started in 2017. I'll say the initial thing started in 2017. So while I speak now, we are more than 400 members. We stand up more than 400 members across languages. So in the consultation with the members, we have started various initiatives. So as FICCI, like we work on the area of policy advocacy, capacity building, and there are many others on which we take care in the sector and the technology development. So I'll mention few major ones which we have taken it forward. So if I talk about, there's a key initiative called Bhasha Antara. Bhasha stands for the word called language. So that we have started it. So it's kind of a, you can say, annual symposium, which we do it with Ministry of Electronics and IT. And here what we do is we provide the platform where we get the government and the industry across languages, different stakeholder groups, and academia, think tanks, policy agencies all together, deliberating on the various things which needs to be done to take the sector forward, talking about what is being done in the global arena, which needs to be implemented in India, and also what are the things they need to work in hand with the government to form in the right policy formation, and presenting the live case studies. If there has been such a successful study in a, say, particular language, which could be an example set for others. So we provide that platform. Along with that, apart from your knowledge sharing, experience sharing, and a consultation policy, and I would say the awareness generation, we do give an opportunity to our members to talk about their products and the services if they have in this area, which could be really good for their country overall growth. So yeah, that's an initiative, and I mean, it's an initiative which has got a good response from the participants. The numbers have been very much increasing encouragingly, and this again we'll do it. We have been doing it for past since 2018 we started, because 17 was the year when FICCI ILIA started. So now this would be the third edition, which will be again done in the month of most likely in November virtually. And we'll be happy if the viewers can join in. We'll be happy to get support in terms of your participation. And we do invite all our international partners, because FICCI works very closely with the various international partners and also who are looking on India as a serious geography for the Indic internet language and language technology sector. So these are the various areas on which we do it on Bhasha Antara. Then there is something we started called Bhasha Anuvad, which is the translation competition. And that aims in adding the Indic language words, specific words to the corpora. So last year we had run it a competition for 4 language sets. So there were 4 distinct language sets which we had run in. The data sets are available on our website, so we keep it for members to use it. So almost we added around 150,000 words to the language corpora, and with the competition was run for around, was there for around, I would say close to 15 days. So we did that. So that's another area where we're contributing to the corpora apart from the other discussions. And then as FICCI, we are also doing a very important initiative on the universal acceptance. So that's we are the local chapter for UA, which is supported by ICANN. So universal acceptance, as we all agree, is highly important when we talk about the language industry and we talk about the businesses reaching to everybody. So we would want the concept of universal acceptance to be adopted by as many businesses as possible. And all obviously to talking about just merits and then getting the businesses online with that. These are the broad areas which I thought it would be interest for everybody who would like to join hands with FICCI ILIA.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for sharing that. And maybe Shikha, you'll move over to the landscape of the Indian languages, I think.
Yes, so as Sarika mentioned that India, with a population of about 1.35 billion, it is remarkably diverse in terms of language, and with every 40 kilometers in India, the language changes. And as you know that there are 22 official languages in India and more than 1,000 unofficial languages, spoken languages in India. How many languages does FICCI ILIA aims to support, and how are you going to or planning to do it?
Okay, so Shikha, yeah, you've put the right figures. I'll just say that yes, at 40 kilometers, a language change, and then all the more there are more than 1,600 dialects. So even that's another thing which is there. So yeah, as I mentioned in the starting that we are a neutral body. So as our focus, we will definitely be looking into the all 22 official languages. We would be taking it, I would say, as it when it comes. There's because every language in every has its own nuances. We know there are language clusters. We know there are languages which are restricted to particular states, and there are languages which is more prominent in any area. So, so as FICCI ILIA, answer to your question is we like to cater to all 22 official languages. And with that motive only we started ourselves, and that's why we are working very closely with the center government as well as the respective state governments. So that is the way with the approach we want to take it up. So we have done few things in the past where like if I talk about, we have done something like a specific state government initiative, which is like a Marathi conclave, which we did it with Maharashtra government. Since Mr. Nulkar is here, so I took up the state and I said, yeah, we've done something called Marathi conclave with the Maharashtra government. So how do we do it is basically we get the respective state government and the language industry around that area to be together, and then we try to work on the issues, or the issues could be any, it could be technical issues or it could be policy related issues, and try to obviously work with them towards finding a solution towards it. So answer is 22 official languages with the support of the industry and the government and other stakeholders, academy and everyone.
So it is interesting to note that apart from like digital content platforms, several chat applications, online government services, digital payment services, even classified ad platforms, means they are witnessing a growing Indian language user base. So many apps are in now in Hindi, in Marathi, and in various Indic languages. And considering that Parallelcorpora is one of the major hurdles when it comes to Indian languages, what is your industry or the government of India doing to address this issue?
Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, you hit the nail right on its head when you said that Parallelcorpora is a major issue right now when you're talking about MT in Indian languages, something that's being faced practically by all major tech companies too. So I guess there are quite a few things happening, and I can give you different perspectives. So language technology companies is one perspective, government funded programs is another perspective. I'm sorry. So if you're talking about language technology companies, I think most language technology companies currently in India are just resorting to, most of them who are not very high up on the maturity curve, are probably just restricting to using some kind of a free MT engine. Probably it's Google or Bing or whatever. Companies that are probably slightly more mature, higher up on the maturity curve, probably have invested in custom building MT engines, although that's an activity that's by far not, I wouldn't call it very cheap from an Indian perspective. So you still need to go language specific, as in language pair specific, domain specific. So there are definitely companies that are investing in that kind of technology, having custom built MT engines. There's also the other angle. So language technology companies are essentially not language service providers alone, but probably language technology companies are the companies that are coming out with products and solutions and online services using technology. So there's a fair amount of use of AI. So there are certain members of FICCI ILIA that are supporting multilingualism through AI. There are certain members that are working on the ML part of it, the machine learning part of it. Some people would use their own proprietary algorithms, but essentially all of them, no matter what method they're using, whether it's MT, AI-centric, ML-centric, I think what essentially they are doing indirectly is adding to the Parallelcorpora. And I think it's very important that we understand that when we talk about India and Indian languages, we can't restrict Parallelcorpora to text. India is a country that has a huge literacy issue. In cities, probably not so much. In villages, you might find a much higher percent of people who are probably not going to be able to read and write their own mother tongues, but they can speak it. So voice is an extremely important aspect of Parallelcorpora generation in India.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think the government also is doing a lot. As in, I can see with the present government, there is a clear vision with which they're moving forward. They have mandated agencies and bodies to actually carry out initiatives that would help in Parallelcorpora generation. Just very recently, as we speak, probably this is just a couple of weeks old. IIT, which is one of the premier technology institutes in the country, so IIT Mumbai has come up with a Parallelcorpora building project for machine translation engine, specifically for machine translation engines in English and Marathi. So from English to Marathi. And I'm sure this is just one of the first projects that's being undertaken. There are going to be many more coming up, because you can't finally just restrict yourself to English and I mean Marathi. But yeah, there's been work that's been happening, and it's not new. I think in that sense, from an IT perspective, from a technology perspective, India has been very, very aware and conscious of its linguistic plurality, so to say. And CDAC, again, which is one of the premier IT centric association, I mean, companies in India, it's a government body, Center for Development of Advanced Computing. So as early as 1989, they started working on a machine translation project. And eventually that machine translation project, which they then called Mantra, M-A-N-T-R-A, Mantra, was launched. And that work happened between 1989 and 1999. And that's something that's been used in the government, in the parliament, by translators who are actually translating a lot of content that's being created within the Parliament of India. So there's been history, and that is something. CDAC continues to work on machine translation projects. There's also a lot of work happening in terms of, if you're talking about the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, recently there was a project that they did for Bengali, which is called the Angla Bangla MT engine. Now, again, like I said, you have something happening for Marathi, something happening for Bengali. So you probably will have the government backing. I'm just naming a few to give you an idea as to the kind of work that's happening in the Parallelcorpora segment. But the point that I'm trying to make here is something that can't be restricted to Marathi or Bengali or Hindi alone. These are just examples, but be it the government, be it government bodies, be it private bodies, everyone has identified the need for Parallelcorpora, and that is something that they're actively working on.
If you also want to break down the language barriers for your company and your customers, you need your language data to work for you. TAUS, the Language Data Network, provides data and tools for machine learning and for business intelligence.